Hello, I'm John Benson, and I'm going to do my observations of Cowboy Bebop. I'm not a scholar of anime or anything like that. This is just my own personal observations, just because I want to make them. Nobody has to listen to them if you don't want to. You don't agree with them? Great, no worries. Um, I just finished watching the 26 episode series. Really enjoyed it. At times, sometimes it was a little slow. This is 2020. It was made in the 1990s, late 90s. So, geez, it's already over 20 years old. Hard to believe. Um, it's a series that I had seen reviewed by others or talked about. I remember even at the time hearing about it. I'd seen little bits and of them every once in a while. I thought like, oh, well, at some point I really want to watch this from beginning to end, and I did that now, and it was a good time to do it under the virus lockdowns. So I did that, and I was impressed. I think that the production values were incredibly good. I see that or at least to me, it seemed that they were trying to do um, the production values, the art, and everything, somewhat like Akira, groundbreaking, breakthrough anime art. But instead of the movie Akira, to do it into a TV series, which they did, Cowboy Bebop. I've seen other anime, and certainly now with anime and computer generated graphics, it can do as well as Cowboy Bebop. But even though I'm watching it 20 years later, over 20 years after it came out, I can tell that it was innovative for its time. Maybe not as innovative as Akira. Akira was a movie, and it took a long time doing it, and they put a lot into that, obviously. But Cowboy Bebop certainly had its innovations, and you kind of just get that. You can get that from, or at least I think I get it sometimes from when I hear certain music, certain bands, and tell, oh, this is new, or seems new, even when you're listening to it later. Uh, hey, you listen to Mozart now, or Beethoven, or whatever, and go, oh, I can tell at that time that was awesome for its time and place. Um, and I get that sense with Cowboy Bebop. The the animation, uh, it maybe not quite as spectacular as Akira. It picks its times and places to really hit with animation, and it has. It seems to me, not an animation expert, that it has several different style or types of animation going on, and it changes them to good effect. In other words, there's sometimes when there's just the backdrop, the one single unmoving, unanimated screen that obviously they spent a lot of time in detail doing. And then there's other times when there's people who are moving, and that's the animation. And sometimes it's very simple animation, especially the moving parts. And sometimes even the moving parts get detailed, and they mix it up. So, in other words, it's a really far step from something like Speed Racer, which had just very simple animation and almost all the same animation all the time. This was very different, and you could, at least I feel when I was watching it, I felt that there were there was a lot of choices where they did those different shifts in animation, and there was different times, times when they did it simply and quickly with animation, and times where they put the effort in to put in a lot of detail, and and I think that really worked. It worked great to contrast it and to have those times where, oh, there was something oh, see how they did that. That was, or when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, oh, that was really nice. That was really cool. That effect or that look or that artwork at some point in time, because it was contrasted with sometimes very simple artwork that wasn't too spectacular, but then they hit you with the spectacular. Well done. The music, uh, they it seems again to me, my own observation or subjective idea of it is they put a lot of time into that too, thoughtfulness into the music, and that makes sense. Even the title, Cowboy Bebop, Bebop references a style of jazz, and many of the episodes, or all of the episodes, have some sort of music named to them, like funk or blues or whatever, and so I'm glad they spent the time to do their music. They had their opening sequence, the jazz sequence. It is very enjoyable. I enjoy it. 20 plus year old music, still very nice. A lot of the other music in it, and there's different styles. The music that they did during the show, during the actual movement part segment, they often had different styles of music to complement the whatever was going on. And then there was the end credit music, which was more of it seemed like Japanese style ballad. I don't know what's called, but some of it was in English. And I always thought it was funny, even in the show, like there's this mix of English and Japanese. So to finish off with the music, I was impressed. They obviously spent some time and effort and money. I mean, again, the production quality was evident to me, or at least I think the production quality looked really good. And sounded really good. And what I wanted to say about the different English and Japanese is that I first saw it, or when I was first watching it, I was watching it dubbed, and the later episodes, because I had a different service, I was able to get the subtitled ones. I enjoyed the subtitles ones more. I just sounded right. It just made it seem better to me. Some people may not like subtitles. I generally do. I generally like to hear the way, or see it the way that the director and the people originally made it, and it seemed to work. I enjoyed it, so I would recommend watching it with the subtitles, not the dub. And other than the writing, the writing quality, they were shooting for high production, or I believe they were shooting for some high production values here, in the artwork, in the music, and I believe they spent some time and effort on the writing. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I was thinking about it, and before I was doing this video, I was thinking, that the writing impressed me more and more as it went. And the last episodes impressed me writing-wise because of the story arc that it was able to do from the beginning to end, the way that it tied things together. And it did so in a somewhat modern way, in a way that a lot of TV shows started to do, like Sopranos or whatever else, where there could be a story arc. In Cowboy Bebop, they did it in a somewhat clever writing way too, where you get that there's this story arc that's going through the episodes, but you certainly don't need to know them to watch every episode on its own. And it comes together in the end in a natural way, and but it didn't do it in a ham-handed way. In other words, they didn't have, there is this evil guy that they introduce at the beginning that you know that they're going to have to get by the very end, which a lot of shows have done to kind of carry a show through its story arc. And I think more common anime would do that, and this was a little bit different in that the person at the end came out at the end. So and it all kind of made sense, and the characters going back to their past, and there's both leads, or virtually every character in it has to deal with their past in some way, and this works to give the characters backstory, involve me as the watcher into the story, and I enjoy that. All of that is good writing, and is good, and it was certainly much better than most anime or cartoons or other shows in its level, and that's wonderful. And I'm not trying to take anything back by saying that it wasn't the best or the most complex writing either. Most of the time, I didn't really feel a whole lot of sense of connection to the characters or caring about them very much, which is fine. The writing level is still much better and much more involved than most anime or cartoons or whatever. And I'm thinking about the target market probably being around teenage boys. This was probably fantastic for that level. There are certainly a couple episodes where they go into certain philosophy of what does this all mean, life and whatever else, and in somewhat mature ways, but not the most mature, and I think that it's perfectly great for the target audience of the show. And they didn't try to dumb it down, thankfully, and it was never supposed to be some sort of great epic writing, so it's perfectly fine. In other words, like I said, I'm not trying to detract from how good it is. It really is wonderful, the production qualities of it. So that's the writing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm sure there's much more I wanted to say or could say about this, but I'm not writing things down. I don't have a script. I'm just kind of going off my top of my head after just finishing the series, and I certainly would recommend anybody watch them, which is why in my reviews I don't go into too many spoilers or anything about the show. I'm just talking about the different qualities of it, and I certainly see where a lot of anime shows, even not anime, took from this Cowboy BeBop, and so it is an important entertainment work that should be taken so. I think it has its place along with other really good shows. I love Akira, and I think in Cowboy Bebop has a lot, owes a lot to Akira. It took a lot from Akira, and grew it, and so that other shows can go on from them, and so it was very well. It was, for all of that, great, and good. So, Cowboy Bebop, wonderful show. I highly recommend it. Thanks.